Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is the Executive Secretary, MTN Foundation, Odoayo Sonya. We also have the DG, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMA, Professor Babatunde Salako. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show. So let's talk about the MTN Foundation and your relationship with NIMA. What's this all about?
The MTN Foundation, as the name tells, is MTN's structure for corporate social responsibility. The foundation was founded in 2004. We commenced operations in 2005, and it's been about 16 years since then. MTN funds the foundation with 1%, a dedicated commitment, I call it, of 1% of its annual profit, after tax. And so the foundation invests in areas of national priority and youth development. And under our national priorities portfolio, we have causes, we support health causes and community development causes. And that's where the link with NIMA comes in. Okay. Sometime in 2020, when the COVID hit, we did get a request from NIMA to support the research of, vaccines, of production of test kits through the procurement of a machine called the Oligosynthesis machine. And that's how the journey started. And sometime last year in August, we were able to commission the laboratory. It's at the NIMA Institute in Yaba. And I must say that since then, a lot has happened. And so I'm sure Prof will tell us more about that.
Yeah, so let me come to Prof. Okay, you want to ask the question? Go ahead.
So, Prof, of course, oligosynthesis machine. I was just making a joke earlier. I said that I know of oligo marking in Taekwondo. It's when you block a punch coming, high. But what is oligosynthesis, and why did you need MTN's help?
Thank you very much. The oligosynthesis machine produces small fragments of, can say, artificial DNA or RNA polymers. Now, the DNA is the genetic makeup of an individual, and it's made up of nucleotides, and the nucleotides are arranged in a specific way for different people. Okay. It's the same thing for plants, for animals, and co. Now, for science to be able to get into the DNA, you need to then synthesize it artificially in a small portion, because the DNA could be very long. Okay. So you need an area of interest. So you synthesize, you design that area of interest artificially from foreknowledge. And then you ask the oligosynthesizer to produce that small one for you. With that small one, you can go to PCR and amplify that. And then you can use it for a particular purpose. For example, in producing diagnostic kits for COVID, there is a particular part of the DNA of the COVID virus, the spike protein. So that protein is studied, and then the nucleotides that made up that area is produced as a primer. And it is that primer that you use to diagnose the disease in samples.
Wow.
And it's also very useful when you are trying to produce vaccines, especially protein subunit vaccines. And then you can also use it in sequencing. If you find an unknown organisms and you are trying to determine the sequencing, you can put that sample in a known organism that you already have the primers, and then you put it and sequence it so that the sequencer can then sequence both the known and unknown, and you can determine that the DNA of that unknown. So that is how important production of primers and probes are.
With this oligosynthesis.
With the machine.
This is great news for Nigeria, I believe.
Seriously great news. Yeah. I'm impressed. But do you have success stories?
Oh, yes. We got this over a year ago. Yes. And MTN has been supporting us in terms of ensuring training We had some teaching issues, but eventually we have learned the art, and we started producing the primers. And I can say that apart from the ones we use in our institute, we've produced for other institutions.
Wow.
And they have also attest to the fact that these are good products coming on. For now, we are able to produce primers for monkeypox, for example.
I was going to ask.
So we can now create a kit for monkeypox and then diagnose it. And we've recently did primers for Ebola.
Fantastic.
Because we already know the sequence for Ebola. So we can, again, we also have primers for that. So if we have any outbreak now, we have primers to be able to
show it up.
So the beauty of it is that we should be able to make diagnosis of outbreaks in our environment
without relying
necessarily sending
on
it outside.
That's amazing. Miriam, you were going?
That's where I was going to ask that. So MTN has done a fantastic job of helping us not rely on other countries for this.
So
and
much.
I hear, I don't know if you can clarify that we are the only country in West Africa to have this machine.
Well, let me say the only functioning one that we are aware of, okay, in the West African sub-region. Ordinarily, during the pandemic, researchers have to they design their primers, and then they send it outside the country. And you know what happened during the lockdown, and there were no flights coming.
Yes, there was nowhere to send.
We're just waiting. And for us, at that time when we were trying to design a kit, I remember 3 or 4 times when we had to produce one. It went to the US, went to South Africa before coming to Nigeria. I mean, there are temperature issues with some of these things. So sometimes by the time they come back, we are not getting what we had already designed or what they produced for us. But the beauty of it now is that we can go to the next door and produce it. If we use it and we are not getting the optimum report or results, we can always go back, redesign, and then reproduce.
So how expensive is this machine? For the kind of benefits that it has, you wonder.
Well, MTN has put in about 100 million to get the lab
100 million
Naira.
Okay, money to buy tickets.
To buy it, and the training and some initial reagents. And we produce, we found the lab and other laboratory accessories that will be used in conjunction with the machine.
So let me come to you, Ma. What's your plan to sustain this development?
Well, the partnership has started, and I'm sure you would agree that is a testament to public-private sector partnership, one that can be successful. So for us, we would, keep with it, stay with NIMR as a partner, because we believe that we can create new value chains. We can through this contribute to the economy.
Yes.
Where, a new value chain evolves. For instance, NIMR is planning to come up with, a website where they can take orders from across West Africa and all of that. So we believe that is the beginning of many, much more interesting things to come.
And that would even create more jobs for young people.
Yeah, that's it.
awesome.
And also a new career path for a lot of people.
A lot of young people.
Yes.
What's even more important is that there are many young scientists who need to design some of these things for their own experiments. I mean, to be able to create new innovations and new knowledge. But the fact that they have to pay in foreign currency, the fact that they have to send it out before it comes, and then it takes weeks, sometimes months, it's slowing down the progress of research, especially in the area of life science around the country and around West Africa.
Please, DG, I need to say this. So many times we hear of how we get this huge, expensive equipment, and because it's government, over the years, we lose it. It's not properly maintained. Could you please tell us what your plan is to make sure that this is maintained and sustained and we can build up on this?
Yes, we apart from the fact that the main purpose is to support research, we also have a business plan that we have discussed with the MTN. And we believe that with that business plan and the little support the MTN has decided to give us to certain 1 year or 1.5 years or thereabout, we should be able to maintain. We have a service agreement with the people, and of course with internet and all of that, we can, at a phone call, get across to the designer, the people who sold them for us. And whatever problems we have, we believe that we should be able to
can be resolved.
But
And I'm sure
and
MTN
if
will
I
also
may
check.
add,
Yeah.
Any plans to further this cause, this commendable cause, based on what he said too?
Well, like you said, we found that with NYMER, they pretty much operate like private sector.
Fantastic.
So they're clear KPIs, key performance indicators.
Good.
We meet, initially we used to meet almost every day. Now we've staggered it a bit. And so we're also putting in place, together with NYMER, certain indices that help us to measure. We're doing a lot of monitoring and evaluation on both, sides, and using the output to improve the process. Back to Nima's question around, of course, yes, it's a function of how we're able to move it forward. Prof has said, yes, we've seen the business model. And I alluded to new value chains, and it's strictly about the economics of it, really. Because only then can we make the impact. Can we even create jobs for the younger people? So we believe that by the time this commercial plan kicks in, there's also some inflow of revenue that enables the lab to keep running. And so it becomes a gift that keeps giving.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We hope to hear more of what MTN is doing, also in other, the foundation is doing in other aspects of the society, and how you're going to keep collaborating with NYMER. That's all we can take on the segment. When we come back, we move on to our top stories. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.